This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
V'Noach matza chen b'nei Hashem. We know the last pasuk of Parshas uses a very unusual expression. Noach found favor in the eyes of God, which almost implies that perhaps Noach did not deserve to be saved. Perhaps he was no better than anybody else. But V'Noach matza chen b'nei Hashem. He, so to speak, was on God's good side. Hashem liked him. So even though maybe he really didn't deserve to be saved, but he found favor. He found favor in the eyes of Hashem. And in fact, that's what the Medrash is medayik in the Bereshis Rabbah, Parsha Chavches. Ela afilu Noach shenishtayer mehem lo haya kedai. He was not worthy to be saved. Ela shematza chen. He found favor in the eyes of Hashem. This concept of finding favor in the eyes of Hashem, Rabbi Bechaye tells us, Kalaimar elu rishayim ruyim lihimachas. These wicked were worthy, were fit to be destroyed. B'zeh tzaddik roy lihinatzel. But this tzaddik Noach was fit to be saved. Why? Ki matza chen be'enei Hashem. The nizbar b'kan ha'enesh v'haschar. The Torah is explaining to us the reward and the punishment. Mefurash onesh l'rishayim b'mei hamabel. The reward of the wicked was the mabel. And what was the reward of, that was the punishment of the wicked. And what was the reward of Noach? He was saved, and he found chen. And Rabbeinu Bechaye quotes an important pasuk in Mishlei. As great as money is, as great as gold is, and silver, there are two things in this world more valuable. Number one, Mishlei, Parak Chav Beis, pasuk Aleph, Nivchar Shem Me Oisha Rav. A name, a good rep, a good reputation is better than great wealth. Mikasef u'mizav, and even greater than silver and gold, chen taif, is chen, charm. What exactly is charm? What does this mean? And how do you achieve it? How do you achieve it? Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch writes that chen is the ultimate level that a person can achieve in the eyes of Hashem. To find favor in the eyes of Hashem, for God to like you, for God to be happy with you. It says Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch, Hamoitzi chen meinei Hashem magia l'shleimus ha'elyoina shebiyad ha'adam lahasig l'fnei Hashem. It's the highest level that you can achieve in the eyes of Hashem. But there's one problem here, and that is the Torah does not identify it to us how you find favor, and then how do you get there? What do you got to do?
The Medrash said that he wasn't zocher to be saved.
He wasn't zocher to be saved. So
why is the Torah calling?
So how do you find favor? How do you find favor in the eyes of Hashem? How do you find favor in the eyes of Hashem? Says Rav Asher Weiss. Rav Asher Weiss is a Rav and a Rosh Hashiva and a Rosh Kollel and an Av Bezin Eretz Yisrael. He's the author of the Svar Minchas Asher, 5 volumes on Chumash, Yeshal Tzuvas. And he wants to know, how do you find favor in the eyes of Hashem? He's a tremendous baki. He scanned through Kol HaTorah Kula. There are 4 places in Tanakh and in Gemara where it tells you how to achieve chen. What are they? Number 1, look in number 7 here. It's in Mishlei, Parag Gimel, Pasuk Lamed Dalet, Im la'leitzim hu yaletz. For the scoffers, he allows them to scoff. It's written anoyim, it's kri, v'la'anovim, and to the humble, yitein chen. God gives chen, charm, to the humble.
What
does that mean?
Yeah, to touch it out, exactly.
To the scoffers, he will scoff. What that means, you can look in the Gemara in Masechta Shabbos and Daf Kuf Daled. So far, one ingredient that we know brings chen is anava, humility. What other things do we know that bring chen? It's pasuk in Tehillim, Parak Pei Daled. Ki shemesh u'magen Hashem leiken. Chen v'kavod yitein Hashem. Grace, charm, and honor God will give to who? We don't know yet. La yimna toiv, he will not withhold good. La holchem b'tamim, tamimos, tamimos, tamim, tamim. Hashem gives chen to the tamim.
What's the common?
What else do we know about chen? How else do you get chen? How else do you get chen? There's a Gemara in Masechta Sukkah on Daf Mem Tes on the base. Amar Rabbi Chama Bar Papa, Kol Adam sheyesh olav chen, biyadua shehu yarei shamayim. Anyone who has chen, he must have Yer Shamayim. Shenemar, Ki Chesed Hashem Me'olim Ve'arolim Ayuev. Someone who has fear of God, he will have charm. He will have chen. He'll be liked. And number 4. So far, what are they? What are the ingredients? Anava, humility. Tamim, Yira Shamayim. And we have a Gemara in Ksubis. The Gemara in Ksubis talks about the Balei Ra'asan. Balei Ra'asan was a very contagious disease with certain pimples that oozed. They weren't able to live with their wives. And the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan said, Hizaru mizvuve shabai Ra'asan. Rabbi Yochanan said, don't get anywhere near the flies of don't go near a fly that landed on one of these Balei Ra'asan guys. Rabbi Zera lo have a Yosef bezike. Rabbi Zera would not sit anywhere in the same wind space. Rabbi Lazar lo yayil ba'ale. Rabbi Lazar would not go into their room. Rav Ami Rav Asu have a achli mi beid ahimavaya. Would not eat from an egg in that alleyway where the guy was. In other words, it was extremely contagious. But Rabbi Shua ben Levi, you know what he would do? He would go to them and teach them Torah. Michrach bahu. He would hug them and attach himself to them. Va'asik b'Torah. Amar, he would say, Ayalas ahavim, a beloved gazelle. V'yalas chen, it brings charm. This is a pasuk in Mishlei that the Torah is a beloved gazelle. It brings charm. Says Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Im chen mala alam deha. If the Torah bestows charm on those who learn it, aguni loy magna, you don't think the Torah will protect you? So Rabbi Shua ben Levi would learn Torah, he would teach Torah to the Balei Ra'asan, and this way he would say, Torah learning gives a person chen. Yeah.
Like Rabbi.
No, he didn't. He was not a Balei Ra'asan. He had Yisurim, he had pimples, they oozed, but he's not a Balei Ra'asan. Now, usually, if I could get a sefer in Hebrew, usually I don't need it in English. But I happened to be looking, they came out with Rav Asher Weiss on the Parsha. So I figured, in English, so I figured it must be a translation of the Hebrew. So first I opened it up, and there are pieces there that weren't in the Hebrew. And there were points that they translated in the English that they added to the Hebrew. So I called up Art Scroll, and I says, what's going on over here? Is it a translation? Yeah. I said, why are there added points? They said, you have to ask Rav Asher Weiss. So I said, how do I contact him? They don't know. So I don't know either. But the English Rav Asher Weiss on the Torah has some points that are not mentioned in the Hebrew. And one is mamish astounding. And that is, Rabbi Shua ben Levi held, by learning Torah, it brings chen. Rabbi Shua ben Levi is going l'shitase. This is mentioned in the English Rav Asher Weiss. Why? What else do we know about Rabbi Shua ben Levi? Look in number 12. Amri le Rabbanan Rabbi Shua ben Levi. The rabbis taught Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Asu dardaki ha'ina l'bei midrasha. Children came into the base medrash. Va'amru mili, and they said words, the afilu b'mei Yoshua ben Nun la'itmar kavasayu. Such astounding Torah that even from the times of Yoshua ben Nun, it was not taught like this. They darshan the Aleph Beis. Aleph Beis stands for what? Aleph Bina. Learn Torah. That's job number 1 of the Jew. No, not schoolites, right? Job number 1 is learn Torah. See, what's job number 2? Gimel Daled, Gemal Dalim. These are the 2 main things in Judaism. Not having, Pitmak Torahs on the parchment to pull out. Not, doing all these heebie-jeebie stuffs. Number 1, learn Torah. Number 2, do chesed. Reb Chaim Vital writes, every night you have to ask yourself, did I learn anything today? Did I do anybody a good favor today? Did you do chesed? After that, the Gemara says further, look down. Hey Vav, that's the name of Hashem. Zayin, Ches, Tes, Yud, Chaf, Lamed, says the Gemara, Ma'ata Oisakain, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Zanoischa, God will feed you. V'chanoischa, He'll give you chen. You learn Torah and you do chesed. Rav Asher Weiss learns it's not just two disparate things, learning Torah, doing chesed. It's a Torah of chesed. Teaching Torah to people who need it. Learning with people. So now, who are these children saying over this teaching to? That Aleph is Gimel Dalid. If you learn Torah with chesed, chen, who's he talking? Who are the children talking to? Rabbi Shiur ben Levi. Rabbi Shiur ben Levi is the person listening. So when Rabbi Shiur ben Levi heard this message of Aleph Beis Gimel Dalet, Aleph Bina Gimel Dalim, and if you do that, Hey Vav, you have the name of Hashem. Zayin, Hashem will feed you. Zanoischa. Ches, Chanoischa, Hashem will give you chen. That's why Rabbi Shiur ben Levi learned the lesson and he went to teach Torah, which was Torah Chesed, Torah's Chesed, to the Balei Rasan. It's Rabbi Shiur ben Levi, L'shitase, Rav Asher Weiss points out. By the way, according to Tosfos, the children who taught this, we don't know who the children are according to the Bavli. According to the Yerushalmi, Rabbi Shiur ben Levi was the child who taught this. So this is Rabbi Shiur ben Levi l'shitase, that by learning Torah, it brings chen. So Rabbi says, so far we know there are 4 possible ingredients to give a person chen. What are they? Number 1, v'la anovim yitain chen, anava. Number 2, Tamimos, Chen v'kavod yitin Hashem la'yimna tolach metamim. Number 3, Yir Shamayim kodim sheishalav Chen v'yadu shu Yir Shamayim. Number 4, Torah, Ayelas ahavim v'yalas Chen. Interesting, all these 4 things bring Hashras Hashchina, bring God to you. We know Anava. Anava, where is Hashem's presence? Right? Hashem rested on Har Sinai. V'yezdako shval ruach. Hashem, we know, goes to the Anavim. Number 2, Yirah Shamayim. How do we know Hashem loves the Yirah Shamayim? Hashem rests on the Yirah Shamayim. Hashem says, V'al zeh abit el ani unechei ruach v'chareid al dvari. Someone who's a chareid. Someone who has Yirah Shamayim. Torah b'chol makom asher azker Hashemi. And Tamimos, Tamim Tia, Im Hashem Elokecha. Rashi learns, if you're Tamim, you'll be with Hashem. Okay, very interesting. So all these 4 ingredients bring Hashras Hashchina, which bestows on a person chen. And what's most amazing is that we know for a fact that these 4 qualities existed in Noach. Anava, Tamimos, Yirah Shamayim, Torah.
Why wasn't he Zochah to be saved? Well,
how do we know?
Medrash says that he wasn't Zochah to be saved.
He didn't have he didn't have enough merits, but he had the chen. We don't know the other things he did. We don't know.
If they're not mutually exclusive, I mean, if
No.
you have...
These are special ingredients for chen. Now, how do we know he had these ingredients? Well, Tamim says the favorites, right? Ish Tzadik, Tamim Haya B'Daraisa. Rashi Masechta Avodah Zarah. Right, they look at number 20. What's the definition of Tamim? By the way, this is Rashi Masechta Avodah Zarah, Davav Amud Aleph. Tamim means Anav. So he had the Anava. How do we know he had Yirah Shamayim? What do the words mean? Es ho Elokim hishalech Noach. Look at Targum Unclus. It means B'tachalta D'Hashem halch Noach. You know what Dachalta? Like Chilur Ada. Dachalta is Yirah Shamayim. That's what it means, literally. B'tachalta D'Hashem, with Yirah Shamayim halach Noach. And how do we know Noach learned Torah? Rashi tells us. How did Noach know which animals are going to be kosher, which are treif? How did he know? Says Rashi. HaTahira ho asida liyos tahira l'Yisrael lamadnu shalamad Noach Torah. So it says Rav Asher Weiss, he scanned through Kol HaTorah Kula. He's found 4 ingredients that bring chen: Tamimos, Anava, Yirah Shamayim, Torah. And lo and behold, you look a little bit into the personality of Noach, and these are dafka, the 4 things he's praised with. And this answers another amazing diak. And if you never were bothered by this question, you should have been. You should have had this question. This is an amazing question. When the Mabul is over, Hashem smells Noach's carbon. He smells the spare ribs, right? Chas v'shalom, right? Vayarach Hashem esreach hanichayach, vayomer Hashem al libay, lo yosef l'kal oidos adam avar adam. I'm not going to curse the earth anymore. Why? Ki yetzer leif ha'adam ramin urav. Because the inclination of the heart of man is bad from the time he's young. Almost, Hashem is saying, because man is bad from the time he's born, I'll have Rahmanas on him.
Christian philosophy.
So he shouldn't have been born.
And yet we find at the end of Bereshis that this reason being given why Hashem is not going to destroy Adam and the Adama is the very reason why Hashem wanted to destroy Adam in the first place. You look at number 24. Vayar Hashem ki rabba ras Adam ba'aretz v'chol yetzer machshava eslibay rak alayim. Because man's inclination of his heart was bad and was rak ra. Right? Look at the same words. Hashem, before the Mabul, Hashem says, I'm going to destroy them. Ki rabba ras ha'adam ba'aretz v'chol yetzer machshava eslibay rak alayim. And then after the Mabul, Hashem says, you know I am not going to destroy them. Ki yetzer leiv ha'adam ramin urav. Right? I mean, the reason being given not to destroy them was the reason Hashem wanted to destroy them in the first place. And how do you understand? How do you make any sense out of that? At the end, Noach says, you know I'm not going to destroy them. Because he's bad from when the time he's young. But that's what Hashem said. You know I want to destroy them because he's bad from when he's young. Says Rav Asher Weiss, you have to look very carefully at the psukim. In Bereshis it says, Kol Yetzer. Kol Yetzer. All of his inclinations. And in Noach it says, Ki Yetzer. Not Kol Yetzer. In Noach it said, Ramin Urav. Okay, so let's say again, the question is that after the Mabul, Hashem says, I'm not going to destroy Adam, I'm not going to destroy Noach, I'm not going to destroy mankind. Ki yetzer leiv ha'adam ramin urav. The inclinations of his heart are bad. But that was the very reason Hashem said why he wanted to destroy Adam. Why? Kol yetzer machshava eslibay rak ra kol hayom. I mean, it's quite ironic. The reason Hashem not going to destroy us is the very reason He wanted, and He did destroy the world. Right? He says, I'm not going to destroy you. Ki yetz leivadam ramin urav. Yeah, but that's what Hashem said in Bereshis, why He will destroy us. Says Rav Asher Weiss, there's a nuance of difference between Bereshis and Noach. In Bereshis it says, Kol yetz machshava eslibay. All the inclinations of the thoughts of his heart. And in Noach it says, Ki yetzer leif ha'adam. In Bereshis it says, Rak kol hayom. In Noach it says, Ra min urav. Why is that? It almost seems like, in Parshas Bereshis, before the Mabul, we were completely and totally rotten. Every thought of our heart was to do bad. Rak kol hayom, only bad. Yikol yetzer, all of our inclination. Rakra. And then after the Mabul, something changed. We just have some inclination to do bad. And not always, sometimes. What changed? Says Rav Asher Weiss, you know what changed? What changed was Torah. Adam Harishon, the Medrash says, was not Shamar HaSatorah. He didn't keep the Torah. He didn't keep what was incumbent upon him. But we find from the time of Noach, there was a different practice. Like Rashi says, Shelamad Noach Torah. Noach learned Torah. Whatever that means, we don't find Shelamad Adam Torah. We don't find anyone before Noach learned Torah. After Noach's son Shem, he established a yeshiva. Yeshiva Batelech Lidrash Hashem. Right? So what Torah could do, Torah changes a human being. Without Torah, you could be the nicest guy in the world. There's no hope. There's no hope. Because Barasi Yetzer Hara, and without Torah Tavlin, the only medication for the Yetzer Hara is the Torah. It's the only medication. So Sisham tells us, you have a guy who said that the doctor says, you have this and this illness, here's the medication. So the guy says, who needs a medication? I'll take long walks. The doctor's telling you what the illness is, he's telling you what the medication is. God is telling you the illness. The illness is called Yetzer Hara. But God is telling you the medication. The medication is not segulais, heebie-jeebie practices, brachos, and all this other stuff that's creeping into our religion. There's one segula. The segula is Talmud Torah. Barasi Yetzer Hara, Barasi Torah Tal. Adam Arishon was not Shomer as HaTorah. That's why the Rambam said, Ki kol Yetzer machshavos libay rak ra kol hayom. But in the times of Noach, everything changed. Noach was Lamad Torah. Noach's son established a yeshiva. So now it's only Ki Yetzer leva Adam Ram Nurav.
So let me ask you a question. Rashi says in the first part of
Yeah.
Rashi, Yesh dar shuvay so l'shvach, yesh dar shuvay
Yeah.
like that. According to this, he was l'shvach.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean he was worthy to be saved.
But
Doesn't mean he
the
was,
fact that Lefi Doiroi,
he was a good guy compared to it, but it still doesn't mean it.
Yili Hoy B'Doir Shel Avraham
Okay.
would have been a much more of a
Fine,
person.
fine, but just because, right, he was good comparatively, it doesn't mean he deserved to be saved. So in other words, why was Noach saved? V'Noach matzah chen b'nei Hashem. What did Noach do to find chen? We don't know exactly. By the way, Rav Asher Weiss adds, there's one other ingredient that brings chen, a fifth ingredient. Look at number 16. It's Mishlei Yud Gimel Tezvav. Seichel Toiv Yitain Chen. Common sense. So Rav Asher Weiss asks, is this a fifth skula? He says, could be. Could be that's another way to get chen. But common sense, I would say, is not recommended to get chen, because either you have it or you don't. We're not going to tell a guy, go buy common sense. That's the one thing, Yiras Shamayim you could work on. Common sense is not so pashut. Common sense is not so pashut. Or it could be, the Seichel Toiv is a component of chen. In other words, like it says, Reishis Chachma Yiras Hashem, Seichel Toiv B'chol Eiseim. In other words, Seichel Toiv is part of Yiras Shamayim. Reishis Chachma, Yiras Hashem, Seichel Toiv. Part of Yiras Shamayim is Seichel Toiv. But in any event, we have found 4 ingredients of chen. What are they? Anava, Tamimus, Yiras Shamayim, Torah, and Noach had all of them. Noach was an Anav. Tamim means anivus. Noach was a tamim hay b'daraisa. Noach had Yiras Shamayim, es Elokim hisach Noach b'dachalta, Hashem halach Noach, and Noach achieved ayalas ahavim v'yalas chen, because Noach learned Torah. Rabbi Sagon Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.